Dr. Jones here. I want to spend some time talking about one-to-one computing. Um, it's really quite simple. It means one device for one student. It is something that we've been trying to do in the field of educational technology for a long time. If you look at the history of research in the field of educational technology, you're going to see that we've been doing this we've been trying to do this for quite some time. We've done a number of pilot studies, but for the most part, what we've had is an idea that putting a device in the hand of every student is a good idea, that you can do a number of very powerful things by providing people with a tool that they can use. But for the most part, it's sort of been a theoretical notion. We've tried it with a lot of different devices. If you look at computers with desktop labs or the computer lab that exists in many schools, this is really what this was about. Trying to get every student have their hands on a computer, but that's very expensive to do. We can't have every classroom be a computer lab. We've tried it with laptop initiatives. We've tried it with things like Alpha Smarts. But the goal has always been the same. It's been to take advantage of the power of technology to allow students to work with content and to do interesting things. The goal has never been about putting students in front of laptops or in front of digital devices to learn from the digital device. It's never been about watching the device. It's not about, while you can watch videos on a piece of technology, that's only one piece of the tool. The other piece of the tool that was very important in this idea of one-to-one computing was giving people the ability to solve problems, to get involved in their learning, to create things, to create manifestations of human learning. But it was very difficult to do. And if you look at some of the research in one-to-one computing, one of my favorite lines was by Michael Grant, who said in a presentation one time that it's not wireless, referring to wireless laptops, it's just one less wire. Because regardless of what device you use, it had to be plugged in. Desktop surely had to be plugged in, but laptops had to be plugged in every couple of hours or so. Well, the iPad really was a game changer for a number of reasons. Because the iPad did a variety of things for us. It gave us battery life for a full day. It had a price point that was attractive to people. And because of sort of the way the iPad sort of swept through our marketplace, what it did was it gave us a critical mass of users. People understood how to use the iPad because they had some cultural experience with it, because they knew somebody who had an iPad, because they had an iPhone, because they had an iPod Touch. There was this cultural understanding of how an iPad worked. There was sort of this critical mass that it wasn't just schools now talking about using the iPad. It was society at large, that the iPad became something that many people saw as a valuable piece of technology to use on a regular and daily basis. The other thing it gave us was a sound infrastructure for delivering apps and for updating machines. So the iPad really was a game changer for one-to-one technology. Not because the iPad is the best, but simply because it was a tablet computer that allowed people to interact with content in a variety of unique and interesting ways. Of course, the iPad is certainly not the only device out there. There are a variety of other devices. There are Android tablets. There is the Kindle Fire. There's the Chromebook. There are laptops. There are a variety of different devices out there that can be used in one-to-one computing. And what's interesting is that the price point is coming down. At the moment, you can buy a Chromebook, which is a Google product, for about $249. And the Chromebook, featured in the bottom right-hand corner of this slide, looks a lot like a laptop. It runs more like a tablet, but it looks more like a laptop. But at $249, you can appreciate sort of how useful that is to a school when you're talking about putting a piece of technology in everybody's hand. So the idea of one-to-one computing is to get that device into each student's hands. But remember, it's not for them to just watch videos of things, but it's for them to build. It's for them to interact. It's for them to create. And that is really the power of one-to-one computing. With apologies to both Shakespeare and Aldous Huxley, I offer up this quote. But it really is sort of a brave new world for education. It is this notion that we now have tools that are ubiquitous. And think about what that's going to do for just a moment to learning as we know it. It's going to mean that we're going to need to think about technology in different ways in classrooms, which means that we're going to have to think about ways of articulating the value of that technology to parents, to the community, to people both inside and outside of schools. Because for a long time, technology was seen to be a distraction, thought of as being a distraction in classrooms, or it was something that you did when the serious educational work is done. That's no longer the case. The technology now is used for the serious academic work that needs to be done. You're going to see this in your lifetime. If you teach right now in Rock Hill, you know that Rock Hill next year will go to a one-to-one computing initiative for grades 4 through 8, where every student will have an iPad. Schools in Fort Mill District is considering a one-to-one computing initiative. Down in the Richland area around Columbia, there are various one-to-one computing initiatives. If you go north of Rock Hill, if you look at Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, if you look at Huntersville, if you look at Mooresville, they're all doing one-to-one computing initiatives. And there are a variety of ways you can do that. You don't have to do it with an iPad. There is this idea of BYOT, or bring your own technology, so that the school doesn't purchase the technology at all. The students purchase the technology and they bring those to the school. But again, one-to-one computing is very simply one device per student. But remember, it's not just for students to watch a computer screen. It's not just for students to do drill and practice applications. It's for students to interact with content on a significant level. There are a variety of different pieces of technology out there. Wait, didn't I say that already? If I didn't, I'll say it again. You may think about wanting to write about one of those for your white paper, and if that's the case, you can certainly do that. But I'm curious how many you can think of, and that really isn't a rhetorical question. I would like for you to make a list in the discussion board so that you can, and tell us how many devices you can think of. This is Dr. Jones, and I'll see you online.